Tuesday's late loss at home to Northampton ended up being Michael Appleton's last game in charge at Charlton. So Curtis Fleming takes over as the interim head coach, looking to turn things around. It is a long, long journey to Blackpool for the Addicts to take on the informed Tangerines. Neil Critchley's side have won the last three in the league and have the best home record in League One. So today, I think it's fair to say, it's going to be tough. Less than 45 minutes until kick-off. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up. We'll hear from Curtis Fleming, who spoke to CharltonTV ahead of today's game. We'll go behind the scenes at Sparrows Lane to check out Curtis and Jason Pearce's first training session. And ahead of tomorrow's huge derby fixture with Crystal Palace, we check in on Charlton women's table-topping form. A warm welcome to everybody around the world today. If you haven't already got your live streaming pass, remember just for £10, please remember to do so just before kick-off. Alongside me, as always, Alan Curbishley and Stevie Brownie. Look, I mean, Tuesday was my first game back in a while, and I have to say what a crazy show it was. And before we talk about the loss of manager, I'm just a little bit concerned about how you two are feeling a bit at the moment. You ginger at all with your hair, a little bit of a headache?
she's suffering this morning, Ginger. Oh, no, sisters. I keep telling them. They keep turning up or going out worse for wear afterwards. Can't do it.
So that's the missus, but you're okay, are you?
I'm all right, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I stayed well awake, mate. I watched Spurs Man City.
Did you?
Yeah, I kept out of it.
Yeah, I was at Chelsea last night.
It was noisy.
Was you?
Brandy, what were you doing last night?
Last night.
Are you suffering?
No, yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I had a date night with Mrs. Brown. So yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah.
What, the first night in for a week?
Well, no, she works quite hard, right? I'll give her that. And I don't like to give her any credit for anything, really, but she does work hard. And at the end of the week, sometimes she just goes, right, you're taking me out. So I took her out last night, and we got a bit worse for wear, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're still talking?
Yeah, not worse for wear like I get when I'm out with, say, you two, but
Okay.
but
It was nice. Well,
What
look,
gibberish then?
one or two too many, yeah.
What gibberish?
I'm pleased you two had really good nights. I was at Stamford Bridge last night, what ended up being a 0-0 draw. But let's talk about Charlton, shall we? Look, a manager dismissal, live on air. I'm not sure if we were expecting it or we perhaps weren't 100% surprised.
Not that quick, I don't think. What was it, 30 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's
but
obviously-
it's
it was
like you said. You
It's
said
obviously
it must have been
premeditated.
Yeah, it's like you
if
said.
Michael didn't get the result, then, you know, that was it. And, yeah, it was quick, swift. What the board now, what they really need is a bit of breathing space.
Well, before we come on to what they need to do, we had a couple of days to digest it now. What do you think of the decision?
Well, we're not in the know, so we don't know what's going on at the training ground with the players, etc. If it was just results based, then I think the board have said, look, we're in a bit of trouble. You know, 4 points off of relegation places, etc., etc. And if they felt that Michael had lost the players, then that's the reason they're doing it. I don't, you know, but so many we were saying on Tuesday that Michael's brought in 6 or 7 players. A member of staff, Curtis, who's taking the team today.
Did he bring them in?
Well, what I'm saying is, if you allow, yeah, that's the thing. If you allow that to happen, then you've got to give them a bit of time, I would have thought. But you know, because of the run of results, the board have felt that they couldn't carry on. And what the board need now is a bit of breathing space. We need a result today. You know, I mean, it's a tough game, Blackpool, and Derby next week. You know, we've got some really tough games coming up. Perhaps we're not going to get the breathing space that they need to interview people and make a decision.
Brandy, what did you think of the decision?
Yeah, I sadly got to a point where I think it was untenable. I was thinking the news might come Saturday night on my way home from the game. Actually, I thought, right, that could be the end of that. So no surprise really after the defeat and the manner as well. Another late goal. And I think that you have to snowball it all, which is the results, which, you know, no wins in 10, 11, 12, whatever it may be now. Not many managed to survive that. Then you've got the reaction from the stands, which is now getting a little bit more negative and a little nastier. And I've not, for me personally, you would have thought over the period of his tenure that the defence would have got a little bit better. You know, they would have been not as easy to break down and concede goals, and that wasn't happening. So when you snowball it all into, you know, flick it down the hill, it got to a point where I don't think there was any other choice, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in the end on all of those. I mean, look, who's out there? Who's just recently...
Well,
you know,
it's what I said the other day.
Jurgen Klopp is obviously...
Yeah, it's what I said the
Curtis
other
until the end of the season, then Jurgen come in for next season, would you reckon?
He might fancy South London. No.
Why not? Live in Greenwich.
But I said that on Tuesday night, you know, I'm on the League Managers Committee and, you know, we see managers come and go. When you're in a position like this at the club, invariably you end up saying what you just said, who's out there? And it's not a situation as, no, but who do you want?
Absolutely.
Who do you want? What sort of manager do you want? Do you want a man manager who don't have a lot to do with the coaching, but he's the man manager? Or you want a coach who does both? Or what do you want as your new manager? And sometimes you might have to, you know, it's not who's available, who's out of work. You might have to go and get someone who's in work, if that's who you think is the man, the best one for you. You know, you're going to spend £250,000 on players, you know, so what do the board want? What sort of manager do they want? And there's all names being thrown up. There's favourites at the moment. We're not in on the situation. I would imagine it's got to be someone who's managed in this league or around it. It's got to be, because you know it is a difficult league. Lots of big clubs in there, you know. So and no players that know who you're playing against and know the opposition. That's what I think at the moment.
Look, I mean, you are perhaps I don't want to blow smoke up your backside, but you are probably the most ultimate legend that we could have around Charlton as well. So I know you're very wary of being seen to telling people what to do. So I'll ask Brownie, what type of person should...
I'm not a legend, no. Yeah.
No. So we'll go from one legend to Brownie.
Yeah, to me. Yeah, I can give an answer without ruining my reputation. Problem.
My point is, Curbs, whether he does or he doesn't, I think probably feels like he doesn't want to be seen to be telling because
Absolutely,
of who he is.
Yeah, no,
we
totally
us mere mortals, we can say what we want, can't we? But
Very
what do you feel the type of manager that Charlton should be looking for?
Well, I think if you
is it from now to the end of the season and then look at someone in the summer, or is it someone on the 2.5-year contracts?
Yeah, so that's the interesting point. And I would say from some of the names that are on, and we have to go with that list because we're not in the know of who they're talking to, and they're quite within the rights to talk to anybody they like. But the list that they're not a million miles away normally, the bookies. It doesn't tell you who's getting it, but it's normally someone that's on that list will get it. And there's some interesting names in there that have managed, to take teams out of the Championship into the Premier League. They've got teams out of League One into the Championship. So it's a good list. Now, if you want to get underway and start talking to those and they're interested, then why not get it done quickly? Because I feel the list that I'm seeing has got quality managers on it. That if we can attract them here, even where we are and the run we're on, we're still a bloody big club in League One. So if the club's being sold in the manner to that manager that appeals to him, and there is a long-term view on it, and they are going to get financed in the summer for more players, we might be able to attract one of those managers.
Do you want to give one name in particular that interests you?
Well, on the list I've seen was Nathan Jones was on it. He's coached here. He's done very well with Luton. And this is another thing that happens, right? When you see people and they go, oh, but he didn't do very well at Stoke. No, there isn't anybody on the list. There isn't anyone that hasn't failed. Mm-hmm. So stop looking at where they failed and start thinking about them as people, personalities, managers.
What they could have learned from that failure.
Right, and you'd learn far more from your failures than you do from your successes. The success in football is minimal. 24 teams in our league, 3 go up. So, based on that, most fail.
Who's on the Nathan Jones, yeah?
I think Alex Neil was on there. Was Warnock on there? But Warnock, for me, is the short-term one. If you bring in Neil, you're bringing him in for now to the end of the season, keep us up, and whilst you're breathing, giving yourself some breathing space. No, I'm not saying that's what you do, but Neil's not a long-term solution. No. Not for me, anyway.
So 4 points above the relegation zone, are we in a relegation scrap?
Well, if we get beat today, then I think we are, because we've got a run of games. We've got Derby, Portsmouth coming up, big clubs coming up. If the results go against us, we could find ourselves right in it, and on the end of a terrible run as well. So whoever comes in, if they come in short term or their long term manager, have got to arrest what's gone on, and it might not be pretty, but it's going to have to be done. It's we are looking over our shoulders. We've been saying for a couple of weeks. We don't want to be looking over our shoulders. Don't want to be looking over. Well, we are now.
So you know me, I'm glass half full. But I stopped looking at the playoffs some weeks ago. Curtis was viewed as a breath of fresh air by the supporters in his press conference, but he did say we're not in a relegation fight. He wants to be looking up. Yeah. Can you understand why he said that, though?
Absolutely. His job this week is to make that brighter and bubblier around the training ground, because he knows they're going up to a very good side on their own patch. They've had a run of good results recently, so he's got to try and change the atmosphere in that dressing room, because even after the game the players looked flat as a pancake, stayed out on the pitch. His job with Jason Pearce this week is to make the training ground a bit brighter, a bit bubblier, smiles on faces, and then let's see what we can do when we get up to Blackpool, because it is a tough one on paper. I understand, and I'm sure you would have said the same, your job when you're out there is they've got to believe in you. So it's no good me going, relegation's a possibility. They don't really want to hear that at this moment in time. It is a possibility, and he knows it.
Who are you speaking to when you do the press conference? This is to both of you. Are you speaking to the fans or are you speaking to the players? Because I listened to a podcast. Peter Schmeichel saying that Sir Alex Ferguson, when he was doing his press match post...
sometimes they're bored.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's a mixture of everybody, isn't it, really? But Peter Schmeichel said when Fergie spoke, it was to the players, even though it's a press conference. What were you like? Who did you speak to in press conferences?
Well, I think it all depends where you're at. If you've just gone into the job, then you're talking to the fans, I think. If you've been in there some time, you're talking to the players, as you're saying about Alex. But I think at the moment, the club, from the board side, have been saying for some time, this is a long-term investment. We're here for the long term, and we're doing this. And we heard Andy Scott talk a couple of weeks ago about bringing players in for the summer. The people that have come in already ain't the end of it, but we're building to have a right go next year. But before we do that, we've got to make sure we're in this league.
Absolutely.
And at this moment, I think the board probably felt that with the run of games coming up, it was going to get worse before it got better. So that's why I think today's a really big game for us. But with them run of games coming up in February, really, really difficult. But no, I think that perhaps the training ground would be a bit lighter this week with Michael gone, because he looks under pressure, and he was under pressure. And the players know that. The players know what's going on. But, they see the manager's demeanour, and I've said it often enough. When a manager loses his enthusiasm, the players find it. They see it very early. You might not stamp down on that bit of discipline. You might not do this. You take the easy route, and hope tomorrow's going to be a better day. But I think that the board really need a bit of breathing space. So it'd be great if we could get a result today, because that will give them another week. If we don't get the result today, and the results go against us, then we're really looking over our shoulders.
So if it's a final one then, and I'll chuck it to you, Brandy. Did we nail down what you think, whether it's now to the end of the season and then look for someone in the summer, or speak to the people that you think could do both?
Well, ultimately, after the game on Tuesday, I thought end of the season, give yourself some space, because they are trying to look long term. So if you're trying to look long term and you want to go through a thorough process, then I think you've got to give yourself more than a couple of weeks. But then when you see the candidates that are on offer, if there is a chance to get somebody in, then why not sooner rather than later? I can see both reasons, like the reasoning for both decisions, to be brutally honest. But only the board members can really sit down together and understand where they're at. All right, because sometimes, I don't know, Curbs maybe able to shed a bit more light on this, but I guess an interview process, if you're going through a thorough one, to narrow down, say, 10 names to 5 to 3 to 1 takes...
And then you can have the meetings with the managers. It ain't just one.
That's what I mean. So you can shed a bit more light. You've been through that process, and that can't be a quick thing if you're going to pick the right guy long term.
He went through that process with England, though, didn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah.
The ultimate
like talk about.
Yeah, doesn't like talk about it. So we'll do that on his behalf. Yeah. Look, I mean, lots to talk about, and we will talk about it post-match as well, and between now and kick-off on top of that. But let's hear from Curtis Fleming, shall we, who spoke to CharltonTV on his arrival at Bloomfield Road.
Curtis, we're here at Bloomfield Road, Blackpool, for your first game in charge as interim manager. You've made 3 changes. Do you want to talk us through those?
Well, 2 of them are really enforced, aren't they? And then another one was a decision with Teo, getting sent off, which I thought was very harsh on the kid. That second yellow card. Talked enough probably about that in the press day on Thursday, because I think it's madness. But a guy misses out and he's playing well for us. So, but that's we need to make that change. So Tene is going to go over onto that left-hand side, and we're going to bring Nathan in, and then Lloydie. I just think you needed a reset. I think the back 3 that I've picked will suit what they do and the positional areas that they play well in. And Connor had a concussion, which is a real big one for us. It's not too bad to be back training later in the week, but I think he's a big miss for us. I think he showed glimpses of quality since he's come in, and we could have done with him today, but that's football. We haven't got him today, and then it just gives someone else an opportunity.
What I heard about the concussion with Connor, was that the collision with Lloyd Jones in the game on Tuesday?
Yes, it was, and to be fair, if we're honest, we didn't think it was as bad as it was, but he was just feeling ill and sick, and I think then sometimes football doesn't take preference then. I think it's the health of the player. He's a good lad. He's going to be a very, very good player for Charlton in the next few years. So I think we've got to protect him and look after him and get him ready for the game next week. What helps us is we've got a free week, so it gives him a chance.
You mentioned in your pressure on Tuesday about hard work and commitment and getting the players to portray that on the pitch. You're going to need it today against a side that's pretty useful here at Broomfield Road. Yeah,
no doubt about it. They're a very good team, but I think we're a good team. And maybe it hasn't shown for 90 minutes of most games. But you look at the Burton game, there was some real good stuff in it. Some bad stuff, but some real good stuff. And I've just kind of reiterated the point that it's not all 100% bad. There are big things that you have to work on and you have to get better at. We haven't kept a clean sheet. So we need to keep clean sheets, or we need to work, because if you're conceding 2 every game, then it means you need to score 3. And it's difficult to do. I don't think we should be afraid of any team in this league. So you're saying these are a good team and they're hard, but we're a good team. So I've just said that to the guys. And all the games that are coming up in the next few weeks, whoever's in charge, you know, every game I think that we go into, we have the personnel. That's not just waffle and words. I think we have the personnel to go and win games. So we start that today, hopefully.
You mentioned about the clean sheets. Is that something you've been focused on? You've got Jason Pearce alongside you while you're interim. Is that something you've been focused on, the defensive side of things?
Yeah, well, really, we've only had 2 days, haven't we? So you don't want to be giving 1,000 messages, you know. It's probably the main message is try and keep it out of the net and work as hard as you can to do that. We've tweaked a couple of little things in the team and what we want to do. We've given them a kind of a plan, a reset button if the game gets crazy. You know, we can't be conceding goals, you know, from, you know, the Burton game, 70% possession. And they break on us. So how did they break on us? How did those goals come about? And we've looked at that, and it's probably just the structure behind it, us getting a bit carried away, thinking that we're Real Madrid, I mean, not playing in a structure. So we've just talked about structure, foundation to build. We've got goals in the team. We don't have to score every time, but we have to have a foundation, how we're going to play and what we're going to do. And we've tried to get that in. You don't get loads in, but the guys have been brilliant. And for them, really, I hope we go and get a really good result today. It's not about me. It's about those lads that have to walk out there at 3 o'clock.
Well, hopefully you'll give the 700 or so Charlton fans that have made the trip north, the long trip north here, something to smile about and something to talk about on the way home. Well,
they're going to play a huge part. You know, it's going to be 8,000-10,000 Blackpool fans here today, and at times we will be under the cosh. And there's nothing better. I've played, so there's nothing better. You get a block in, or a little bit tired, and you hear that roar and you hear that shout to do it. And the biggest thing is fair play to them for travelling so far to come up here to support us. So, you know, it'll be all of us together. If we win, it won't be just the team. It'll be the team, be the staff, and be the fans that'll get us over the line.
Thanks for joining us, Curtis. Good luck this afternoon.
No problem. Thanks.
So 3 changes then, 2 enforced. Tayo Eden suspended, Connor Coventry concussion, Lloyd Jones the one tactical change that he drops to the bench, Lucas Ness, Terrell Thomas and Nathan Asimwe all come in. So Curb, same system, 1 change of choice. Not a million miles sort of difference from what we've seen. You agree with that?
Well, yeah, I think that obviously Curtis is... How long's Curtis been here? He's only been here...
A couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, yeah. So, I mean, Michael wanted to play 3 at the back. That's why these players were brought in. So many players have come in over the last month. He wanted to play 3 at the back and 2 wing backs, and it gets us 2 centre forwards. Hopefully, Ladapo, you know, he looked really tired on Tuesday night, and, you know, he's had a bit of a rest and concede the 90 minutes, but I think Curtis has been saying what we've been saying in here, that, you know, in recent months we've needed to score 2 goals to get anything from the games.
At least.
We need a bit better defensive organisation. And I said it on Tuesday night, you know, when you're exposed, what is the plan? What is the plan when you're exposed? And we've been left wanting, especially in the 90th minute.
Yeah. How do you see it, Brownie?
I think in terms of system, there is not a lot else we can do. We don't really have the wide players to be able to change that system now. The only thing I like about that team is that Terrell could go in at left back. You could have a diamond shape quite quickly if things weren't working for you in terms of that particular setup, 3 at the back. You know, it might make you'd have to obviously make a substitution to get somebody at the top of the diamond, or Backinson goes to the top, Louis Watson goes in there. But you know, in terms of that's really what you've got to go with. You can go a 4-4-2, but we just don't have the wide players. So the diamond system would be, you know, where you could change if you wanted to. But yeah, I think in terms of Lloyd coming out the side, I think sometimes as a centre half, I'd never admit to Curbs I'm not having a good time. And sometimes it does take the manager to go, I'm going to pull you out the firing line for a little bit, because he's been at fault for a few of the goals recently. So just come out the firing line for a bit, sit and recover, you know, have a think to yourself, and then come back a little bit stronger in a few weeks. But I think that's probably the right move, you know, in terms of the goals we've conceded recently.
OK, let's have a look at what else is going on in Sky Bet League One today. 5th place Barnsley host an Exeter side level on points with us, while Bristol Rovers will be looking to end their losing streak at home to 6th place Oxford. Cambridge take on Burton. Carlisle host Bolton. Corey Blackett-Taylor made his Derby County debut as a sub on Tuesday, and the Rams host Cheltenham today. Reading are now the team that we're looking out for, not the team in 6th, the team that just below that dotted line in that relegation place. They face Leyton Orient. And at the bottom of the list, Wycombe, who sit a place below us in the table, entertain Fleetwood. And look, we normally discuss big games at the top of the table, but Curbs, with us being 4 points off the relegation zone, does the focus have to change elsewhere? You know, Reading 4 points off us with a game in hand. Cheltenham 7 points off us with 2 games in hand.
Yeah, no, obviously we're looking over our shoulders at the moment. That's why I think everybody on the pitch, off the pitch, we need a bit of breathing space, and it'd be nice to get a result today just to give us that. It looks as if the teams around us have got difficult games today, so perhaps that might be in our favour. But it'd be nice for us to pick something up just to ease the pressure on the board and the players.
Well, we're one of 5 teams on 30 points, along with Shrewsbury as well. They're the one just above that dotted line on goal difference. Paul Hurst, my former teammate at Rotherham, has been reappointed, where he had a lot of success there, actually, in a very shoestring budget.
Well,
what are you expecting there?
Well, it's nice to see a club bring back a successful former manager. Hey? That's a good appointment. Should get a reaction.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and what I would
not for you, didn't get one from Curbs.
No. What I would say about the fixture list, all the teams that are struggling around that bottom of League One are got tough fixtures today. So it's like Curb said, if we can pick up even a point, you know, they've got some really tough fixtures. And actually, Leyton Orient, you think, Reading, Leyton Orient at the top of the form guide, haven't conceded a goal in 5 games. So it's a tough game for Reading. Need Leyton Orient to do us a favour.
Absolutely. Curbs, just a quick word on the top. Portsmouth, I think it's fair to say, started well, but it's been faltering of late as well. Peterborough, Bolton, Derby, Barnsley all closing in. Where do you think they'll be, Pompey, come the end of the season?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think the fan base is fantastic at Portsmouth, but it puts a lot of pressure on them as well, because they travel, don't they, and they're in numbers and whatever. It's amazing, really. Every time I look at this league, you know, we look out here and go, look at this stadium, but there's about...
You said it just before.
Yeah, there's about 10 or 12 ex-Premier League clubs in this division. You know, so that's why it's so tough to get out. Everyone's got the same expectation levels as us.
OK, moving on to Charlton women now, who sit top of the Women's Championship after that win against Blackburn Rovers last week, where they took on Women's Super League Brighton Hove Albion in the Continental Cup on Wednesday. Let's take a look and see what happened.
Simmons' delivery. Carabali gets up and Brighton hit the front. Close range header from Carabali. Really good delivery from Simmons. Right underneath the crossbar, and Carabali got up really well. Simmons' delivery and help towards goal, and a real opportunity here which is taken by Pinto, and Brighton lead by 2-0. Simmons' cross helped on towards Pinto by Carabali, and she made no mistake. Brighton playing out, giving it away. Forward ball from Ross into Johnson, just past the post. Well done. Simmons' cross, and Zighiotti at the back post and helped over the crossbar. It's a good save from Gray. Simmons. It's cleared by Charlton. Aisi is there, but it's picked up by Sari. A little back heel towards Lee Min. Well kept out by Gray. Simmons. It's a good ball out wide. It's picked up here by Pinto. Lee to her left and finds her two in plenty of space, Lee, but puts it over. She had a lot of time, but took it on first time and couldn't find the target. Good delivery, that. Up goes Green, and Green again! Charlton have half the deficits. Kaylee Green not to be denied a second time. Followed up her own header and fired into the corner. Surrey's corner. Bergsvan's header and helped over the top by Gray. Good stop.
Yeah, so a 2-1 loss. Brown, are you going through the defensive mistakes there, weren't you?
Not
gotta,
quite, no.
You've got to analyse it now,
but all set-piece goals, so bit to work on there if you're Karen. Maybe bit to work on in terms of conceding set pieces.
But fair play, actually, to remain in the game against the WSL side.
Yeah, of course.
We're concentrating on the league now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've still got the FA Cup run. We beat Ipswich the other day. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, that loss ended 101 days without defeating all competitions. So when you lose an unbeaten run like that, what do you say to the team? How do you get them in the right mindset to say, let's do another one?
The first thing you say is that you've just cost me manager a month.
Karen didn't get it then, no.
Well, we'll see. No, I think that you just got to start again, haven't you? And it's great when you go on them runs because when you're getting consistent results like that, you ain't getting no knocks on the door from the players that are out of the team, and whatever. They're all they've all been put in their place, and it's nice to come in every morning.
Spoken like a true manager, unbelievable. The Addicts face a huge game away to Crystal Palace tomorrow, and will need all the support they can get at the VBS Community Stadium. And Curbs, we sit 2 points clear of third place Palace. We have a game in hand. How did you approach matches against rivals?
Well, hopefully there'll be a few fans that'll take the trip. I think that everyone gets up for these big games, don't they? You don't need to do much managing really when you've got these big games on. I think if we come out the other side of it, it puts us in a real healthy position, doesn't it? And got to be looking for really seriously for promotion.
Do we go for a win tomorrow or settle for a draw?
Always go for the win against Palace. Always go for the win. That's what I would say about Curbs, and it not necessarily always the case when you have a manager that's not aware of how fierce the rivalries are in London sometimes. But every time we had a London derby, it was definitely always said in the team meetings, it was always said before the game about bragging rights for your supporters. Give these something to go into work on Monday and have a chat with the Mill, so you can belittle the Millwall, the Palace and all that. So it was definitely, we were made aware of that. There was always a little bit more of an edge. And actually some managers come in and don't quite get that because they're not from down here. And it gets overlooked a little bit. So he always had that in the locker on match day, the old, don't forget, that first tackle, that first header.
Do you notice how cocky he went there? Because they ain't from down here.
All right.
Give it Michael Caine.
Neither are you.
No,
Give it
so
Michael
far not
Caine.
from this area.
OK, well, please make sure you get behind the team tomorrow and hopefully we can get 3 very important points. OK, a few things elsewhere to let you know about. A reminder that Portsmouth's visit to the Valley on Saturday the 24th of February will also be the club's annual PSA testing day. This is a blood test that measures the amount of prostate-specific antigen, PSA, in your blood to help diagnose prostate problems, including prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is now the 3rd most common cancer in the UK. Early diagnosis is crucial, but symptoms do not usually appear until the prostate is large enough to affect the urethra. We'd encourage all male supporters over 40 to come down and get tested. Any female supporters, please encourage your fathers, brothers, uncles, sons to make sure they get tested too. We're also looking to raise money for that, so please donate if you can. OK, Academy Director Steve Avery will take part in an open question and answer meeting with the Bromley Addicts on Thursday, February the 1st. Did you know that I'm president of the Bromley Addicts? Because I live in Orpington, Chelsfield, and this is in Petswoods. So Tony asked me. So Tony, hope you're watching. Steve will be accompanied by Croy Anderson, Nathan Asimwe and Harvey Kedwell at the event, which is set to get underway from 7:30 at the Royal British Legion Club in Pettswood. The club and downstairs bar will be open earlier, so fans can arrive from 6:30 onwards. Entry is free and the meeting is open to all Charlton supporters, including non-Bromley Addicts members. Now, Curtis Fleming and Jason Pearce took training on Thursday for the very first time, and CharltonTV was there to go behind the scenes.
Alfie! Lads, listen in. Competition, winners. We want winners. It will be on my whistle. First man will dribble in and out, in and out, in and out. Go around that white cone. Pass back.
We're doing it properly.
Well, Curtis said in his presser he played with great players, but he wasn't a great player himself. And let me tell you, he was a very good player and a great competitor. Experienced as a coach too. So, Curbs, do you expect him to try and instill some of those characteristics that he had as a player into a team in what is clearly a very short period of time?
Defender as well. I think that he spoke about keeping clean sheets and being difficult to beat, and you know that's the first time we've heard that sort of communication from the manager. So yeah, I mean, we've only seen a warm up here and a bit of fun, and you know, no disrespect, but I think when a manager does leave the club, it is a little bit more light-hearted before a new one comes in, and whoever takes the reins as caretaker manager, he tries to bring a bit of fun into it, and it looks like they're enjoying it. So you're right. I mean, after the game on Tuesday, some of them players on the pitch looked really down, especially Alfie. And he was lucky that he didn't get himself in trouble, because recent weeks he's made a couple of really rash tackles and whatever. And I think the frustration of what's been going on, the run we've been, has got to him a little bit. So hopefully he'll be in a better frame of mind today.
Yeah. As a manager coming into the group for the very first time, what do you look to communicate? You know, he's admitted it's a short period of time.
Well, when you go into, to be fair, when you go into a club, like I obviously went into West Ham and that, there's a few unhappy players, and you know, they may feel that, you know, it's a reset, that the previous manager didn't fancy him, and the new one who comes in, it's a clean sheet, and so that might, you know, we've got a lot of players that are not playing at the moment. You know, out the side, had their noses put out of joint, if you like, and perhaps they might think, if a new manager comes in, I've got a bit more of a chance. So yeah, so it does give. You get that manager's bounce, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hope we get it. Let's hope we get it with our caretaker managers, because, as I said earlier, I think we need a bit of breathing space. Hopefully, if we get a result today, that will give the board another week before they have to make a big decision.
Didn't happen to you very often because you had that man over there as your manager all the time. But you know, what would the players be thinking with sort of a new man coming in, new ideas?
Yeah, I think the players will be fully aware they need a result sooner rather than later, and that's not just for the manager, really, Scotty. I've never been in a 12-game run without a win, I don't think. So it's a long old time to not have a win. You're going back to November the 28th, I think. So for themselves, you want to feel how it is to win again. You want to walk off that pitch and not look down at the ground while you're walking off because everybody's, you know, not happy again. So for themselves, they need a win and a performance. But it's an interesting one, because Curtis obviously goes from assistant, where I think some people think the assistant is lumped in with the manager and his style, and that's not necessarily always the case. The assistant's job is to back the manager and his style.
It's to be assistant.
Yeah, but it is to say, I think we need to concentrate on the defending a little bit more, Gaffer, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it's still his choice. He can go, well, hold on, I want my wing-back to do that, and I want him to do that. So it's not the same thing. So at least Curtis gets an opportunity, however many games, 1, 2, 10, whatever it is, to go, now I can implement, rather than just suggest.
So certainly talking about assistants then, how important is Piercy and his knowledge of Charlton to help Curtis?
Yeah. Well, Piercy's coming from a really good spot. You know, I've done the under-18 role at Brighton, and I've got to be honest with you, there is no pressure on you, because as much as when you do really, really well, no one sees it when you get beat 5. So, but you, as a coach, you have an opportunity to do whatever you want to do within the limits. You know, obviously you've got an academy manager that's looking over your shoulder who doesn't want you to just do everything for you. Ultimately, it's about the players you've got. So Piercy's come from a really good spot where he's not really under pressure. He's learning his trade, he's doing all that, and now he's coming into the first team environment where it is win at all costs, really. It's you know, but he knows he's going to go back to that. So again, is he just going to be bright, bubbly, smiley? Come on, boy, let's have that winning feeling. Yeah. Even though it was interesting, it was about winning. Even the little races.
It's quite interesting because Curtis has just come in. If a new man comes in, he might want to bring his assistant or someone. You know, everyone's
absolutely.
Affected by.
It could be very temporary.
Absolutely, everything's affected by managerial changes. Look at the players that have come in.
Yeah.
You know, all these players that have come in recently. You know, a new manager comes in and go, don't fancy him. I'll prefer him over there. You know, so the upheaval is not just the players, it's for the coaches as well.
It's not easy. Remember, you can WhatsApp any questions, any statements, what you want, +44 7384 517580, and we actually have had Russ and Sangeeta. Do you know where they are?
Let's go British Virgin Islands on a boat.
Jamaica. How hot?
32.
30.
Ooh,
30
not
degrees.
Far out with it, all of that.
And the message is, hopefully the fans can get behind the team from here on in. Curtis saying the right stuff. Very grounded, too good to go down. Oh, Russ, can't think that. But I hope you and Sangeeta are having a wonderful time out there. We should have a game of golf.
I was going to say, probably thought that about his golf game when you took him down.
He probably has. Nick O said he's heard a rumour that Klopp is coming to Charlton. So, Nick, let's just build on that rumour even more, shall we? OK, a reminder for those...
What's he flying out from City Airport?
Reminder for those watching at home on YouTube and Twitter to get your live streaming pass now for just £10 to watch Charlton's TV production of today's game. And a quick reminder to you as well that you can book hospitality packages for upcoming match days at the Valley. Let's take a look. We're just saying, we don't get that, do we?
No.
That looks amazing.
No. Yeah. Cardboard sandwich last week we got, didn't we?
Cardboard sandwich.
We have been lucky.
Top of that table.
No, that looks nice though. No, we've been lucky when John Hayes has not been about and we've been invited onto his table.
Been part of that.
I love it when John's in Florida. His brother's so much funnier as well, isn't he? better company. It's better company, it's funnier.
We go over there, tuck into a nice roast.
I'm going to regret that, by the way.
OK, look, we're closing on kick-off, or we're just 5 minutes away from it. You know, what do you feel Curtis would be saying right now to the lads?
I think as a defender, I think he'd be trying to instill that into us. I think he's saying in a pre-match interview there, we've got goals in this side, we've got goals, we know we've got goals, but we can't keep, letting 2s and 3s in. We can't carry on like that. So I would have thought that him and Piercy, especially two defenders, will be looking at that side of the game more than perhaps. I know it sounds wrong, but more than perhaps the attacking side.
Let's have a look at both teams, shall we? Because we know ours. There's 3 changes, 2 are enforced, 1 not so. Blackpool, 1 Albie Morgan.
Yeah.
Who's actually been scoring goals as well.
A couple of really nice ones recently, actually. He hasn't scored too many this year, but just recently he's looked a little bit of a threat. So, that doesn't bode well.
There's Jordan Rhodes there, who's been known for scoring, although he hasn't scored. He's on his worst run for 7 games.
Him and Alfie are both struggling, and yet both are within 1 goal of each other, first and second in the scoring league. But I think Alfie's 1 in 7, and Rhodes is none in 7, isn't he?
He's still 15 for the season, though.
15, yeah, and 16 for Alfie, yeah.
So how tough will this be, do you think, Brownie?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest with you, as tough as it comes, they're top of the home form guide. I think 32 points from their 15 games or something like that. And they're particularly strong at home. So it is tough, Scotty. They're on a good run. They've just won 3 on the bounce as well. And they have a particularly energetic midfield as well. So you know you've got Jordan Rhodes up front with his intelligence. He's very experienced, good movement patterns. You know, understands where the space is, works off the shoulders at the right times, and he's got great support from Dembele and Morgan. They're both athletic. They do both sides of the dirty work. They get back behind the ball. They get up alongside, and CJ Hammond at wing back as well is one to look out for. He's caused a few teams a bit of chaos this year.
So we're playing Real Madrid, are we?
No, but they're a good side at home, Scotty. You know. Well, if they're Real Madrid, then we need to bump up to Barcelona today to try and get a result.
Love it. I love that attitude. How do you feel, Curbs, with the team that we've got, that we can hurt them?
Yeah, I just think, firstly and foremost, we've got to get off to a good start. And perhaps we'll be a little bit negative in that respect. I would imagine that, well, if it was me, I don't think I'd have Dobbo going anywhere, but just in front of that back four today.
Yeah, he has got options there. The one thing I will say is, you know, we've all been speaking about getting better defensively. You've got Edmonds Green, who's gone into centre midfield, who's notoriously played at centre half the other night. He's a defensive mind, and he's put him into midfield. I think he's really going for that extra bit of protection. So at any stage, you can just go Dobson and Edmonds Green sat in front of that back three, and that sounds very defensive, but I think we are going to have to be that way today. They're a very, very good side at home.
Well, we haven't been defence-minded, have we? There's no clean sheet in 15, so
yeah.
You know,
and
if we have to have
structure behind the ball as well,
five at the back with two sitting in front, make it difficult to break down, and so be it.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
Do you feel we have the team to sort of counter-attack?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you Alfie and Freddie up front, and Backinson will be the one, I guess, that tries to join, and he can do that. He has got the legs to go. Again, he's got good energy in there, but it's the wing backs for me. If you're on top of the game, they can get higher up. If they're not, we're going to go straight back into back five with Green and Dobson in front. So we are going to look very defensive, and it really will be the Simways and the Watsons, I think, that we'll have to try and get up and join quickly, because I don't know about George and Green actually getting up quickly.
James